We're back for part 2 of our discussion on building a healthy school culture. Our guests are Monique Smalls, District Transformation Coach for the South Carolina Department of Education, and Christy Dodd, Principal of Flat Rock Elementary School of Anderson County School District 3. As we prepared for this conversation about family culture, you both talked about shared leadership more than you talked about demonstrating care. Ms. Smalls, you mentioned leading with them, not over them. Principal Dodd, your first talking point was about creating leadership opportunities for faculty, staff, and students. So my question for you is, how does this work? Why are collaborative decision-making and shared leadership central to building a caring culture?
When you give people voice, you get buy-in. When you get buy-in, you have better culture. It's like we've said before, family takes care of each other. An example, we have a new math fluency initiative in our school this year. I could have very easily created that and handed it out, and I could have said, do it. But that's not what I did. I formed a group of teachers to represent special education, primary grades, and elementary grades. I gave them my vision. They gave me their vision. I stepped back. When they were ready to give me a list of manipulatives that needed to be bought, I purchased them with no questions asked, and they created our program. Because they go back now, I say to their friends, we talk about our friends at school, they go back to their friends, and they're like, we created this is what we want to do. Miss Dodd didn't create it, we did it. And there's more buy-in when you allow people to do that.
Yeah, in addition to buy-in, who says I have all the answers? I mean, I don't have all the answers. Just because I'm the principal doesn't mean I know everything that we should do at every given moment. So allowing the collaboration amongst the staff gives them buy-in, but it also establishes that I'm human, just like them. And we make the decisions together.
And it also honors their expertise.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and it also occurs to me, by demonstrating that you don't have all the answers, that you're human, that you need the support of others, doesn't that also create space for them to not have all the answers, to need the community that they're in, to need the support of others?
And it makes it easier for them to ask for help. I can think of lots of situations in our school where teachers willingly, we may see a challenge, and before we can address it, they'll come to us. And they typically will go to the person, whether it's the reading coach, the assistant principal, me, for advice and help on how to get better at something. And they're not afraid to ask for help because they know it's a judgment-free zone. I need help, I come ask you. You need help, you come ask me. It's just give or take.
We've had many brainstorming sessions where we establish a problem and work together collectively to determine the solution. And my rule was, and my door was always open. When you walk into my office and you bring me a problem, typically I'm going to help you solve it, but I also want you to bring a solution. Tell me what you think so that we can work collectively together. Yeah.
This week, I had my reading interventionist come to me and she said, I've got a problem, but I believe I have a solution. And that's become the norm in our building. I'll help you all day long, but I want to give you an opportunity to solve it first because that's the only way we're going to create the leaders who come after us. We've talked about, I'm in year 35. I'm not going to work forever. I need to leave Flat Rock Elementary School better than I found it. And I want to make sure there are leaders when I leave to carry on the good work that we do. So you have to prepare not to be there. And if you don't allow people opportunities, that's not going to happen.
So it's kind of like growing the succession plan as you go. Not only does it help create the culture you're after, but it also helps create sustainability in that culture.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. So that raises a question in my mind. What role does hiring play in establishing the kind of strong culture that you're talking about here? How important is it for you to have the right people to do this work?
Critical. And this is going to be completely, like, most folks will be like, Monique, you're crazy. But you can come in with all the credentials and look good on paper, but in the interview, my gut says no. I will hire someone who's going to be able to be an asset with my team and help continue to build that culture than I would someone who has every single degree possible and can tell me pedagogy, without even having to read a book or anything, but still not be the right fit. So a lot of times I look at the resume, I definitely go through all that process, but it's a gut feeling. I mean, are you going to fit in with the team? Do you have the same goals and aspirations that we do for our students? And if you don't, initially, is it something that I could work with? Is it something that can be taught? Because I can learn everything in a book. I can't change your heart.
Mm-hmm. I always ask applicants, what do you know about my school? It tells me a whole lot how invested they are in the opportunity they've been given. And I'm looking, did you look at my school report card? Can you talk about it? Did you look at my website? Can you talk about it? Because a piece of paper does not tell you the whole story.
Agreed.
And I always ask, what do you know about my student population? And I do. My poverty index is currently 86%. I need to know that you can work with children of poverty. And so those are just big questions for me.
So after the interview, you've made the hire. How do you develop your people to do this work?
Going back to the interview process, I never interview by myself. We interview in a team approach. And if I know I'm hiring a third grade teacher, there's a third grade teacher on the team to interview. That goes a long way in establishing whether or not somebody is going to fit. But I think we also, you ask, how do we develop that fit once they're there?
Yeah.
We are big believers in small group instruction. And we tackle things like MTSS in small group instruction. There's a lot of professional development that can take place in an MTSS meeting.
That's a multi-tiered system of supports.
And it drives our intervention system and it drives our school, and we benefit from it. And there's a lot to learn from each other. And we always try to include other partners in the building, not just those grade level peers. But a lot of conversation takes place in those meetings that create opportunities for teachers to just have a place to sit back and share with each other. And that's how they learn to work together, and that's how they learn to fit. And we protect the planning period.
We kind of kick it old school. We do scenarios and role play. Mm-hmm. So when I first started as the principal, one of the things I noticed was kids were being sent to the office regularly. If you're not in the classroom, you're not learning. And just sending them up there to me, what does that solve? And plus now I'm taking your power, right?
Absolutely.
Because I'm solving your problem. So we did scenarios, we role played, and we talked about what would be the best way to handle these particular incidences. And so whereas I had folks who wanted to put kids out initially, I taught them what were some better alternatives just by role playing and establishing how you keep your power in the room. And so many times culture is built in the classroom first by the teacher. So build your culture so that your kids don't want to leave and misbehave. Like if they know that she's going to send me out to Miss Smalls, I'm going to miss the lesson, I'm not going to be able to do this. That's how you do it. So scenarios definitely solved a lot of our issues in our building.
All right. So last question on this idea. Can one bad apple spoil the bunch? And how do you deal with that when somebody's working against the culture?
Yeah.
Yes.
So my phrase I'm not going to say on this podcast because I want to still be employed. But yeah, you're either going to get on board or you're going to walk the plank. I'm not going to make it easy for you to be a cancer in our building. I do not mind having hard conversations with folks. My first job is to ensure that students are getting what they need. And if I have a staff member who doesn't do that, I confront it head on. What a witness. She want a witness.
And teachers are watching to see
How you handle it.
what you're going to do
Absolutely.
and how you're going to handle it.
Yes.
And one apple can spoil the entire basket. And
That's
you have to be very, very careful and very, very protective of that culture.
Agreed.
And most of the decisions we make on the day-to-day are not easy. We've talked about some of those today, but there are decisions that have to be made to protect the culture. And sometimes you just have to do it.
And the thing is, you have the conversation, but no one knows that you had the conversation beyond your witness, yourself, and that staff
That's
member.
right.
Because I don't go out and share it, and I expect the staff member not to go out and share it. But at the end of the conversation, you have a choice to make, whether you want to be a part of the team or whether you don't.
So Charles Payne from the University of Chicago Consortium on School Research summarized decades of research that went through that consortium on successful schools serving high needs and at-risk student populations. And he summarized all this research in two themes: rigor and relationships. So this feels a little bit like a chicken-egg conversation. Does the rigor support the development of relationships? Do the relationships support the development of rigor? Which comes first? How does that work?
Relationships always come first, my opinion. When children know they're loved, they work. When teachers, secretaries, cafeteria workers, custodians know they're loved, they work. I always think we talk about people at the beginning of the year. Build relationship, that creates classroom management, that creates culture. Children are going to work for you when they know you love them.
Not totally.
I'm seeing a little bit of a different opinion.
Because I don't think you have to, your focus can be just on relationships. I think it has to be a delicate balance of them both simultaneously.
Okay.
Especially when I inherited a school that was below average, 39, almost unsat, I don't have time to, no offense, be lovey and feely and do all of the great things without addressing student academic achievement. So we're going to do these together. Because ultimately, like you said, if I build the relationship, the academics will come up, right? But we're going to do it at the same time because we don't have time to waste. I'm going to establish that culture in the building. I'm going to develop the relationships with my staff and students, but we're also going to address the rigor simultaneously.
And I don't disagree with that.
Yeah. I didn't think you would.
I don't.
So on this idea of rigor and relationships, Principal Dodd, I wonder if you could tell us about Shine Time and how that plays a role in the Flat Rock culture.
One of my favorite things to talk about. SHINE stands for Students Having Intervention, Needs Met, and Enrichment. Several years ago, because of MTSS, we realized that we had a lot of children who needed intervention. And we didn't want to ignore our GT kids. We didn't want to ignore our children who were meeting the standard, because when people think about intervention, a lot of times they think about your bottom 20%, and we knew that we needed to focus on everybody. I'm very blessed that I'm surrounded by an incredible group of administrators on my staff who have fantastic ideas. This idea was not mine. It was my assistant principal, her idea, and my reading coach. So 30 minutes to start our day. We start 30 minutes with 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, and then we have 30 minutes kindergarten through 2nd grade. And children are served in the area where they have deficits or they need more work in small group. And I'm talking 6 children or less in a group. what they need right then. This is on their level, so that we can move them. And it does create rigor. And the beauty of this program to me is that we're addressing the needs of all of our children in the building at the same time. And people are like, how do you schedule that? How do you do it? Well, it's important, so we do.
Mm-hmm.
But we have buy-in from everybody. So all of my related arts teachers, music, PE, art, our librarian.
This is all hands on deck.
All hands on deck. We've been known to use custodians. We've been known to use office staff. Our AP teaches a class. Often they won't let me teach a class because somebody has to monitor everybody else while they're doing it. But right now, there's a child in first grade who's left-handed that can't write, and so I've been teaching her how to write. So my Shine group was one-on-one to teach a child how to write. So I believe with my whole heart that the intentional intervention system that we use has been a game changer for our school, specifically to culture, because we have buy-in from everybody, and everybody's needs in this 30-minute window every day are being met. Our parents can talk about it. Our students can talk about it. I will tell you that I do think the reason that it works so well is what's done on the back end. I manage, but I've got a reading coach, a reading interventionist, a school counselor, and an assistant principal who get together regularly, and we're triangulating all the data points that we have in our building. And we start there, and they form the groups. They create the content. They make all the copies. It's all hands-on, no technology during this 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But we are able to hand this activity to a teacher, and all they have to do is look at it, know it, teach it. They're not caught up in the weeds of, I only have a 45-minute planning period. How am I supposed to do something else?
Yeah.
So we pull all those excuses away, and we do all of this. And that's servant leadership, and that creates family culture, because somebody is taking care of me, and now I can take care of the students.
Yeah.
And so I think at the end of the day, best thing we do at Flat Rock Elementary School is Shine. It works because we have buy-in from everybody. Everybody's willing to go the extra mile to get it done, and we are providing this product, if you will, to the teacher so that they're not having to do all of it. They're just delivering it, which is the important part.
Yeah.
And it works, and it's outstanding.
And it's meeting the needs of the students. It's meeting the needs of the teachers. It's caring for one another.
And it's specific, because children who are above grade level are meeting in the library to do book club and have discussion. Children who are still struggling with certain phonetic practices, they're in a group with somebody who specializes in that, and they're getting that. And that 30 minutes a day makes all the difference in the world for what we're trying to do.
So we keep going back to family culture, and family is a very powerful metaphor. I'm struck by the fact that family is supposed to show up for each other at all times, not just when it's scheduled, not just at family functions, but whenever a need arises that's inconvenient. And how have you seen that sort of family culture manifest at your schools outside the regular school day?
Oh, I can give it a deep example of that. In our community, we had a family lose their home, lose all of their clothing, everything, their home as well, in a fire. I was able to send out an email at maybe 10 o'clock that morning to my staff, the entire staff. By that afternoon, when those children got off that bus, they had a house. They were full clothed. They had more clothes that they could ever imagine to be able to come in and out of school just by sending an email to my staff. My staff rallied. They found lodging for them. Someone said, hey, just come stay in my trailer that I have. You can stay there. My staff put together pots, pans, furniture, clothing. those kids never missed a beat. They never had to suffer through the loss of their home for more. They were in school. When they got home, they had a new house. I mean, that's powerful. That's a family unit. Because when something happens to a family member, your family steps in.
Right.
And that's what our school does. We've done that on numerous occasions. We had a teacher who's international who was joining us. He's never even met us before, but he knew he was coming into a family because when he got here, we had found him an apartment. We had already furnished it. He had pots and pans, and we had somebody to help him get to and from school every day. That's what we do.
I can think of several examples on how our faculty and staff show up for each other outside of school, but probably one of the most meaningful. Over a year ago, we lost a staff member to cancer, and we were in the middle of a fundraiser to help with her treatment. And I don't even know how much money we raised, but we were able to help provide money for funeral costs because she died. And we were devastated, and it's still hard to talk about her. But I think back to how proud I was of the people that needed to go to that family and needed to help provide. And we provided meals, and we provided money for all those expenses. And people looked at me and they're like, I don't know how you're going to run school today because we have to go to the funeral. And it's just, we show up in good times and we show up in bad times, and that's family. And when you watch a faculty willing to do that,
Yeah.
it's just unbelievable.
I think you just said it. We show up.
We show up.
Yeah.
I have a funny. So SE ready testing,
Quick.
really quickly.
Yeah.
I had a flat tire. Nobody wants a flat tire during SE ready
No.
testing.
No.
I was getting ready to go spastic. A staff member just said, hey, can
You
I
were going to
borrow your
run to
car?
school.
Can I borrow your car? They borrowed my car, fixed my tire for me. I never even knew it until after testing was over. That's family. That's family.
That's fantastic. Christy Dodd, Monique Smalls, thank you both so much for joining us today and sharing your experience. This has been a great conversation, and there's a lot here. If you had to summarize what we talked about in both of these episodes into 2 takeaways for building leaders that might be listening, who want to develop this kind of culture, who want to get the sorts of outcomes that you've seen in your buildings, just 2 things. One thing to keep in mind and one thing to go into the building and do tomorrow. What would those things be?
Go into your building tomorrow and know that the most important thing you do is walk your hallways and make yourself present, and stop first thing in the morning and ask, how are you doing? What do you need? Do that first. Every day. Walk the hallway. Do that every day. If you want to establish a family climate that will be sustainable, treat people the way you want to be treated. But go in and give leadership opportunities even to those who don't trust that they have leadership ability. And make sure you are encouraging collaboration that includes you, and that you're willing to collaborate with others, and especially with those people that you see potential in that they may not see themselves yet. That's a way to get it done.
Nice.
I think as a leader, they should remember that climate begins with them. They set the tone in their building. And ultimately, I go always back to happy teachers equal better student outcomes.
Thank you both for joining us today. And thank you for joining us on The Education Beat, Evidence to Excellence.